Conrad's fingers hovered over the screen for a moment, his thumb trembling slightly. It was stupid, maybe even desperate, but every instinct screamed that he was running out of time. He opened his contacts, scrolled, and found the name, Taylor. Jeremiah and Taylor had history. Not a deep, romantic kind, but something messier, more impulsive. Whenever Jeremiah felt out of control, Taylor was a place he ran to, someone who wouldn't ask too many questions, someone who made distraction feel like safety. They had a connection built on shared chaos. If anyone knew where he might go, it would be her. Conrad tapped the call button. 1 ring. 2. Then her voice came through, tight, guarded. Conrad? Taylor, he breathed. Have you heard from him? There was silence on the line. The kind that stretches seconds into years. No, she said finally, but I figured this call was coming. He sat back in the driver's seat, palm pressed to his forehead. Do you think he'd come to you? I don't know. After the wedding blew up, I thought he might. But he hasn't. Not a call. Not a text. You swear? I swear. She paused, then softened. I've been worried too, you know. He's not the kind of guy who ghosts everyone. Not like this. Conrad didn't respond. He didn't have to. The weight in his silence was enough. Conrad, she added cautiously. What happened between you guys? He wanted to lie. To say it was nothing. To pretend this wasn't his fault. But that wasn't fair anymore. I let him down, Conrad said. And I think I lost both of them in the process. Another silence. Then Taylor, in a voice that almost sounded like sympathy, said, You know he looks up to you, right? Like, more than he ever says. Yeah. I know, Conrad whispered. That's what makes it worse. She told him she'd call if she heard anything, then hung up. Conrad stared at the screen for a long time after, the echo of her words ringing in his ears. He looks up to you. That made the hole in his chest stretch wider. The next lead came by accident. At a random gas station, somewhere off Route 17, Conrad stopped to fill up and buy a coffee. He was exhausted, emotionally shot, physically drained. He barely noticed the cashier watching him until he heard her say, You're not from around here, are you? He looked up, half surprised. No. Just passing through. The girl, maybe early 20s, blonde, sharp-eyed, tilted her head. You looking for someone? His heart jumped. Yeah. My brother. About my height. Messy hair, green eyes. Kind of looks like he's always trying not to cry, but won't admit it. She cracked a smile. That guy? Conrad's breath caught. He came through here yesterday. Bought like 5 energy drinks and a pack of gum. Didn't say much. Just looked wrecked. Did he say where he was going? The girl frowned, thinking. He asked if there was a beach around here where no one really goes. I told him about Pelican Cove. It's pretty out of the way, locals only kind of place. Where is that? She grabbed a napkin and scribbled directions. You sure he's okay? Conrad tucked the napkin into his pocket, nodded. I will be. Once I find him. He drove like his heart was on fire. The sky darkened as he followed winding back roads, each one narrower than the last. Trees leaned in close. The world got quieter. He could hear his own thoughts now, and he hated them. All the things he'd said wrong. All the truths he'd held back. All the times he thought time would fix everything on its own. It never did. He reached Pelican Cove just after dusk. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving streaks of purple and blue smeared across the sky. The beach was almost invisible, just a narrow trail through the woods that opened up to a small, secluded stretch of sand. And there he was. Sitting alone. Hunched over. Hoodie up. Legs pulled to his chest. Jeremiah. Conrad froze. For a second, all the noise in his head stopped. The relief hit him so hard it made his knees weak. But he didn't run to him. He walked slowly, carefully, the way you approach a wounded animal that might bolt. Jeremiah didn't look up when he sat beside him. He just stared at the waves. "I figured you'd find me eventually," Jeremiah said quietly. "I never stopped looking," Conrad replied. They sat in silence for a long time. The ocean speaking for them. The wind brushing past like ghosts. Then Jeremiah said, "I didn't know where else to go." Conrad didn't speak. He waited. "I couldn't breathe," Jeremiah went on. "Not after what happened. Not after her. And you. Everything just collapsed." "I know," Conrad said. "I felt it too." Jeremiah turned to him, finally. His eyes were red, tired, angry. "Why didn't you tell me how you felt about her?" "Because I didn't want to be the reason you got hurt," Conrad whispered. "And I ended up being the reason anyway." Jeremiah didn't answer. But he didn't leave either. That was something. And in that fragile silence between them, under the heavy sky, the cracks between the Fisher brothers began, slowly, to show signs of healing. Conrad didn't even hear the door when it shut. 1 minute, Jeremiah was there, silent, eyes glazed over, barely holding himself together, and the next, he was gone. No note. No call. No goodbye. Just vanished, like the ocean pulling back before the wave crashes. It had been days since the wedding fallout. Since Belly had stood there, her voice trembling, her heart somewhere between two brothers. Since Jeremiah watched her slip through his fingers, and since Conrad made the biggest mistake of his life by saying nothing. He thought staying quiet was the safest option. That letting her choose would protect them all. But silence, it turns out, is louder than any confession. The beach house wasn't the same without Jeremiah's presence. Even the chaos felt emptier. The mornings were too still. His laughter didn't echo through the halls anymore. He always left his phone somewhere dumb, on the roof, in the freezer once, and he hated being away from people too long. But this time, it wasn't just space. It was a message. Conrad checked the usual spots first. The pier. The old surf shack. The cliff by the water tower. No Jeremiah. He asked around town. A few people thought they saw him by the gas station, buying Red Bulls and jerky. That was 2 days ago. Since then, nothing. No credit card swipes. No social media posts. Not even a read receipt. Panic crept in slowly, like a tide you didn't notice until your shoes were soaked. But Conrad knew his brother. He knew Jeremiah didn't run. He exploded. He acted out. He spiraled, sure, but he didn't disappear. Something was off. Their mom was already in damage control mode, trying to keep Laurel calm, trying to pretend this was just Jeremiah needing time. But Conrad saw through it. He saw the worry etched into her face, how she clutched her phone like it might ring at any second. And he couldn't sit still anymore. So he packed a bag, grabbed the keys to the old Jeep, and drove. The road felt endless. Every town looked the same. Every gas station was just another dead end. His chest was heavy with guilt, with questions he couldn't answer. What if he had just told Jeremiah the truth that night? What if he had let Belly go, fully, instead of hovering like a shadow? What if his silence pushed his brother over the edge? He replayed their last real conversation in his mind, again and again. Jeremiah had stood at the dock, fists clenched, saying he was fine. But he wasn't. He looked broken. And Conrad had let him walk away. He shouldn't have. Conrad wasn't good at words. That was always Jeremiah's strength. But this was different. This was survival. He wasn't just looking for his brother anymore. He was chasing the version of them that used to exist. Before love made enemies of them. Before secrets turned into silence. Before the summer started unraveling everything. The sun was starting to set. He pulled into another small beach town, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and strangers stood out. He went into the diner, asked the girl at the counter if she'd seen someone matching Jeremiah's description. She shook her head. No luck. He sat in the booth for a minute longer, staring at the condensation on his glass. The waitress brought a refill without asking. He didn't touch it. Instead, he pulled out his phone and scrolled through old photos, ones with Jeremiah's wide grin, his arms slung over Conrad's shoulders like everything in the world was right. Then a thought hit him. Not where would Jeremiah go, but who would he go to? Conrad opened his messages. There was one person he hadn't thought to check. One person Jeremiah always turned to when the world felt too heavy. Not Belly. Not their mom. But someone else. Someone unexpected. And if he was right, that's exactly where he was headed next. The search was just beginning. The silence stretched between them, thick as fog. Only the sound of the ocean filled the space where their voices failed. Conrad didn't expect Jeremiah to forgive him, not now, maybe not ever, but he needed this moment. Not to make excuses. Not to fix everything. Just to show up. You should have told me, Jeremiah